Welcome to this video. We'll be doing the XC exhaust and a few other bits and pieces and looking at a few ZK Fairlane parts as well. So I hope you enjoy. Well, I've been a bit sick. I'm still not better yet. So these are the covers I had hydroblasted. They came with the 352, whatever it is, and a small amount of, not much bogs that I suppose. Just a little bit of, some little dimples in there. Pulled through where someone's over tightened them. Use hammer and dolly those out. I'm using those because they fit better than these ones, oddly enough, and yet they're a genuine Ford item. I've got to find the grommet because I don't want two filler caps. I think it looks all sorts of stupid when there's two filler caps. So I've got one somewhere, and I'm just sort of scratching around looking for where I'm going to start the next video. We've got the exhaust, dual exhaust, 2-inch straight through mufflers. I only paid, was it $5.75 for that because I got a $50 eBay discount. Another $50 for the two GT style hangers. They're the front hangers for the back of the mufflers, and it came also with the all the clamps. So sort of $625 all up. The only thing that worries me a bit, XA and XB different to XC apparently. Something to do with the breather on the rear axle. Could be the handbrake as well, I'm not sure. But the tailpipes are different. It's hard to tell him it was an XC. In saying that though, I don't even know what sort of diff I've got in this. I think it's a later one, so hopefully it's alright. So I'll put that on. We have to use our old, what are they, flange clamps for the engine pipes. And there's no balance pipe, which is just the way I like it. So I'm wrapped with that. What I don't understand is why they charge $25 each of those hangers. Rear ones are on eBay for like $225. I don't understand why there's so much dearer. That was from Old School in Thomastown. Old School Exhausts. We can't remember what the name of the place is. Brilliant guy. Very, very useful, or very knowledgeable and very helpful too. So thank you very much. Right, I'm going to start off with a big thank you to Tony Lorendi. He sent me a little gift package. He got in touch with me and said, look, I've got a box of stuff I want to send you. And what he sent me is just gold. I don't know what the significance of that is. It looks like the one the Galaxy had. I'm not sure what that is either, but look at the rest of this. XD clock. So this is perfect. And we've got the type of clock I needed for the Fairlane. He's also sent these. These are, I'm going to use all of these. These are inner and outer wheel bearings. Timken, great brand. They'll fit the ZJ, ZK, and maybe the XA, I'm not sure. But I think the inner race is the same, the outer one might not be, but at the end of the day, the XC and the XD, same bearings. So I can use all of those, and there's the seals that go with them. So I'm really, really happy with that. Thank you so much. A couple of uni joints, they'll get used as well. Forward relays and fuses and things like that. These things are always handy to have. Always handy to have. And I dare say they'll get used as well. This is a conjure cutter. It's on a ratchet, and a blade comes in and slices it. That's a useful thing to have as well. Probably use it for hoses. Two-stroke motorcycles from 1969 or something, I think. These are lovely. These sorts of publications are gold. I love this sort of stuff. If I can get the thing open, I can't remember what the date was on it, but it's lovely. It talks about Villiers and all sorts of stuff like that. These are point set for a V8 Valiant. Those sorts of things I like to hang on to because I never know what I'm going to wind up doing. And, I mean, maybe the Plymouth, I don't know. I'm not sure, that looks like a fuel grommet of some sort, or fuse, what do you call it, a fuel filler grommet? I'm not really sure what that is. And of course, these look like GB, well, stop it. These look like GB 534s. Your generic point. This thing I'm excited about, that thing that we're blowing around. 1956 workshop I've got a couple of early Ford shop manuals which deal with FEs, but I haven't got one that deals in Y blocks. That's fantastic. And also XF and ZL Fairlane FE Ltd. Of course, they're all the same body. And there's a whole manual there. It goes to airflow and that sort of stuff as well. So, Tony, if you see this, thank you so much. I'm going to get it out of the wind though. I don't want anything to get damaged. Thanks so much for forwarding that stuff. It's so well appreciated. I want to mention Daniel, and he has a YouTube channel. He got a ZJ Fairlane for the driveline, and he offered me a whole lot of parts free for the Fairlane we're doing. This I needed. I'm going to drill into that crack, fill it, recolor it. This is for underneath the dash where the handbrake is. The one I've got's like a wagon one. It's got a whole lot of stuff here, and I didn't want it, but he had that. That is that XF antenna or something. I can't remember what he said about that. The original XB, these are actually quite rare. It's the XB 302 air cleaner. This was to sacrifice for the hybrid one I made up, but I'd already made it by the time I got this. Having said that, that fitting there is what I need for the 302 I did. I'll get that out carefully later on. So that's useful for that. And also, these sorts of things I never throw out. You never know when you're going to need them. I've had stuff like that before. I mean, I'm down to the last one now, but I've had it for years. Oh, the wind, I'm sorry. XD clock in beautiful, beautiful shape with the connector. And so, if it's different from the XE one, I'll wind that in. And just because I much prefer those to the XE ones. I'll put that in a safer spot. Right, he also gave me this, which was really, really kind. The cassette for the XC. I've got one of those in the XC. I'm missing the belt for it. But that is also very hard to get this sort of stuff now. And for that, he sort of kept it aside for me. So thank you very much, Daniel, for that. There's also the ZJ had somebody put an LTD front on. That indicator lens is perfect for the ZK. Even got these. These are really important to keep for XDs and so forth because they hold that whole fitting in. And it's a really quite a unique piece. I've got a couple of those. I will send those off to be blasted and plated. The other one I think has a break in it, I'm not sure. That's the amp from Mercedes-Benz radio, and it's a Becker. So that is perfect for Charlie's Merc. So Becker Mexico, it's original, it's OE Mercedes-Benz stuff. There's the other lens, of course, that's sustained some damage, but again, it's got that good spring with it, which is certainly good to retain. Headlight fittings, these are they might be the same as XD. I'm actually not sure because my XD is not here at the moment. These headlights, he just threw them in. I can fix all that. These are actually easy to do, these ones. You can unclip the lens. You can get that all redone, and if the reflectors are dodgy, which that one's got some marks at the bottom, Hyquil in Queensland can do that without a problem at all. So this is really, really good stuff. I'm really happy with it. So there's another thing I want to show you. Daniel also donated this seat, driver's seat from a ZJ Fairlane. The ZK squab is different because it's got the, what do you call it, lumbar support. But the problem I had with mine was all the frame was busted up. The height adjuster was all shot. So this is just a standard XT Falcon type seat. That ZJ was a high spec. It was a 302 and had leather trim. But might have to play around with this foam a bit. It might be a little bit, you know, maybe put a layer of, what do you call it, hessian under there, but there's no give in it because the leather's so hard. So I won't end up using the squab, or the headrest for that matter, but I will end up using that frame. This really lovely driver's door. Now his ZJ, it's a parts car, is like mine. Some things are just that perfect on it, other things are rusted, and it doesn't make any sense how they've rusted. Mine's got two rusty front doors, and very little rust anywhere else, which you're scratching your head. I won't be using this mirror. Let's turn it over and have a look at the bits that are most important. All around here, it is just thoroughly lovely. Now, we can section it and use those bits in the other door because it's already been painted, but I wouldn't do that. This is also black. I wonder if this is a door that's been replaced off that car. It does look a bit sus like that. It hasn't got the cabling, the holes for the cabling. I don't know where it goes on this. I can't remember. But it can be drilled obviously for the looms because the ZK has the illuminated door lock and this sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, you'd be crazy. I'd sooner paint the whole car than start cutting this sort of stuff up to save a door, which is probably going to need to get painted anyway. So that's the door we're using on the driver's side. We've got the one for the passenger side. I will pull it apart, but it doesn't need anything. It's a beautiful, beautiful door. So Daniel, thanks again, buddy. That's so well appreciated. Constantly rely on other people for their help. I know I do with these. I couldn't do half the things I do without the assistance I get. This is for Jason Hill. This Fairlane. We finished this Fairlane. It's registered and all. But I've still not yet done the fuse box because I've ordered 3 of them. None of them I would fit in his car because they were rubbish. This is a Nava one. So it's got a little O-ring on it around the periphery of the cover. And it's 8 circuit. Most of the ones you buy have one bit of buzz bar. And so it's literally just one circuit with a bunch of sub-circuits coming off it. This is the original XA Falcon one, and at the top there is a circuit breaker. And I bought a circuit breaker for him, that's fine. Jason doesn't want the ceramic fuses. But what's handy about this is from Addison. He's been a long time supporter and constantly giving me bits and pieces for the cars. I can see which ones are bridged. Now fortunately, connectors are all I can take the plastic keeper off all the connectors and just plug them into that. But what I can also do is I can see here that these 3 lower circuits need to be bridged. So I can take that out and solder buzz bar between that, and that. Hang on. Those two, and those two, and those 2 top ones are independent. And all of this side are independent. So it's actually a much better way of doing it. Now this can be retrofitted later. It doesn't really matter. I just wanted to make sure we got the right one for Jason. He did want blade fuses because they're more reliable. And this is a hidden bit of kit, so you don't really see it. But it's a much nicer solution. That's a Nava part too. So it was very inexpensive. Oh, the Corolla. When you drive a car that looks like rubbish, and one of these is full of water and it doesn't work, you want to keep that off the car because the light that doesn't work isn't roadworthy. I want to keep the police at bay. So I just ended up using one on the Starlet, off a Starlet, until I can get another one of these or fix that one. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I'd normally leave these hinges on, but there's a really good chance I'm going to have to rebuild them or rebush them. So I'm just going to pull them off. It doesn't matter, it just means you're going to be spending more time setting up gaps and this sort of stuff. These are different. That's right, they use a wire for a detent. Here. I forgot about those. Maybe they don't need rebuilding. Who cares? Let's take them off anyway. Driver's ones always get slack. It's the first thing they look at with the roadworthy. If the door's movable, they need to be addressed. And they normally, you can just punch those pins out and you get a rebushing kit. Now these are off the ZK, and to me that is gargantuanly unattractive. There's no style in it. The designer would have done that on a piece of toilet paper in 5 minutes while they were indisposed. I don't want them back on the car. The one that was on the ZJ is an earlier type. That's loose. And that's the style I'm going for, but in the chrome. It's not date correct for the car, I don't care. I just think they look nicer. And that's the sort of look I'm sort of chasing, if you know what I mean. So when you start getting into the more modern stuff, you get more metro-sized stuff. So 10mm fasteners, or if you want to be technical about it, 6x1. Which is what that is. That'll be, oh, it's just a keeper for that. Where the old stuff would be 1/4 inch, so with a 3/8 head. But you've got to kind of, you can normally see them by looking at them, but I mean, if I'm tired, I still make the mistake of thinking it's something else, you know. And it's not a big deal. Like even on the XC, you've got 1/2 inch bolts, 5/16 bolts, which hold everything, hold the door and the hinges and everything on. That's got a nut behind it, obviously. But even on the interior handles on the XC, they're metric. And it becomes a pain in the neck sometimes because you're constantly going between metric and imperial. It's no big deal, really. But it's sort of, you don't think to yourself, wouldn't you just have one or the other? But I guess they're just using up old stock. When I was at a place called White Horse Motors, 1990 would have been. And the Vogue SE Range Rovers, you know, all your Range Rovers, still using Whitworth on the battery terminals. XD door handle. We used to repair these when I was at Ford. We'd actually just, they'd break at the rivet and we'd just drill them and put a self-tapper there. The other thing you'd do is just make sure they're lubricated at that point there. The rest of it's just down to adjustment. People always bang on about how bad they are. They're actually not that bad. They're just kind of known for it. But, you know, if that's the only thing wrong with the model of a car, I don't think it's a big deal. The problem with a lot of this sort of stuff, is that a crack? I don't know. The problem with a lot of this sort of stuff, I can't speak for XD, but XC, the repro ones are terrible. So I've got them all in the GXL and I'm going to take them out and put original ones in. This door is definitely not the original one for that car. It's far too good. And all of these outer trims, I'll turn the door over in a moment to show you, they've been removed before. And they're far too easy to remove now. Here's the other door I've got, which I'm pulling apart. That's sitting on the ground. Rust free, just a bit of surfacey crap there, but that'll come off with a roll lock. One thing that screams at me about this door, which doesn't look right, there's no side intrusion bar. And I remember in the XD brochure, they made big noise about there being side intrusion bars. I wonder if this is a non-genuine door. What would be the story with that? Does anyone know? That does make sense. These two doors, a bit of a hose. I haven't washed them, just hosed them off. A bit of compressed air down the bottom to get rid of any debris. And the difference is chalk and cheese. For a start, this door here is a lot lighter than that one. And that could be down to the side intrusion bars, obviously, but this thing is just incredible. It's dirty. This door's pretty good. You know, it's got a bit of a dent there and this sort of stuff, very repairable. Looks like there's a little crack there. Your roll locks take all that off and you just weld it. Very, very easy to do. Skin's in good nick too. The lack of, let me see if I can get in here a bit. It's clean. It's not bad. But the lack of side intrusion bars make me think I don't understand why it hasn't got one. I don't think they made repro doors for these, did they? XD? I'm not sure. It's a good door, but I would sacrifice it if I needed to. This one, on the other hand, is a whole different ballgame. It's got all the proper side intrusion bars. But it is so clean. Even where the skin meets the frame, it's flawless. It has to have been put on as part of a crash repair on that other Fairlane, on Daniel's Fairlane, because I've I've never seen a second-hand door as good as that. And it's still got all the black when you buy these sorts of things new. The mouldings were too easy to get off. Has to have been replaced. And it's so much better than the yellow one. And the yellow one, I'm not disrespecting the fellow that sold it to me. I got it for, I think I paid 150 bucks or something like that. It was cheap. But this was free. This was Daniel's. And I only got it for free because he was very kind to let me have it for that. But you would never cut that door to repair the door that's on the car. Never. I will clean this up and I'll paint it green and put it on. Pretty much the way you see it there. The only thing I'll do, it's got some flaky paint on the skin. It's all sort of rough. I'll take that off. I'll strip that part of it. The bottom's nice and stable. I'll probably leave the bottom, but that's the only thing I'll do. It is so good. Whatever the case, I'm not going to try and fix this door. It's not worth it. It's just too knackered. And they're too sort of cheap to get. If it was an unusual door or pressing or something, you'd be stuck with them to fix that. But no, I think we've got to kiss this one goodbye. We're not going to be able to use that. So we will be using that yellow door on this side. But yeah, that's weird how this car's rusted, because it's all clean as a whistle. Elsewhere, yeah, it's got a couple of little demons here and there, but it's actually a pretty good solid car. But that door I'm not going to repair. That's junk. The back door, I think the back doors are alright on this car. Let's have a bit of a look. Got a few little bits and pieces here, but by and large that's very repairable. They're actually okay. That's repairable. You know, it's just got bits and pieces here and there, but it's still repairable. I've got a little bit of... There might be a bit more to this car than I thought, but I'm not worried about it. You know, and it's pretty much the same on the other side. We're a little bit room challenged, but it's not too bad, you know. I mean, it's not perfect, but that is repairable. This one's had it as well. That's the driver's. So yeah, the two front doors, we'll replace the two front doors. The two back doors we'll just clean up. And of course, we can fix that easy, that floor. That's actually easy. Now it's nice and dry. Pull the dash out, find out where the water's coming from. This is actually a nice, cruisy, easy little job. It should be just like the Sigma, even though that wasn't easy, but it was fun. Right, crack of dawn. It's 6 o'clock in the morning and I haven't been to bed yet because I woke up early yesterday, then fell asleep. Dumb move, and it completely stuffed me up. That's the door I left there yesterday when we were filming. Other door. And I got no free hands. Right. Yep. There we go. Well, might as well do some work. Ah, here's what you do. I can't do any welding. I've got to weld up the snorkel for that. I sort of cut out the underside because it's made for a 6 and I'm putting it on an 8. But The reason I'm doing this all in a weird order, that's Susie's windmill, is I want to bog that air cleaner up. This is the one that made from multiple air cleaners, like all the bottoms being welded on and welded up those holes in the side, so it's got like a smooth appearance all around there. I'm not using a vented cap with it or a closed cap. It's just going to be an old style one. I've got to do a few things, so I want to do that while I've got the filler out. Do the front guard on the XC. While that's going off, I'm going to take the header off. I'll show you how to do with that. It was quite dodgy because it keeps hitting the starter. So I just did a mod to it. So I'm going to get myself set up and I'll be back. Right. So let's discuss rampant stupidity for a moment. This was never going to work because the clapper starter hits the header, right? You can't put one on. You can't put the starter motor and header on together. I'll tell you why. Pardon me. The problem I had was it's only held on with a couple of bolts. I've got to actually run a tap through these, and I had to buy another 3/8 course tap because I've lost the one I had. And the way I did this is so bad, you couldn't use it on a running car, right? It's just too pitiful. But it's one of those means to an end things. I'll take this off. And I ruined a nice set of block huggers, but I can't use these in a car anyway because they're going to exit against the firewall in an Aussie car like a Falcon. But this was really just for just me mucking around. Clappers have this thing that comes up, and to engage the Bendix gear against the flywheel, against the ring gear I should say, I can put that back on to protect the armature and all this sort of stuff. But I can't get that on. I even tried to whack it with a hammer. Now I did see on eBay Clevo starter motors. The Clevo one will fit in terms of the offset for these two bolts. They don't normally have a third one obviously, but the offset for the bolts and the position of the starter motor in the bell housing is the same. So I bought one of these things thinking if it doesn't work or if it doesn't fit, it doesn't matter because I can use it in one of the Clevos, which is still true to this day. Here it is here. It was like $100, which is negligible really. A lot more powerful and so on and so forth. And there's your sort of front of it and all this sort of stuff. The picture was deceptive because when you put it on, this is even worse because this hits the block, which is no good. So that's no good to me. But it can go on one of the Clevos. You know, the ones I've got at the moment, I think the XW's got a clap and the others are Bosch's. So it wasn't going to fit. So all I did is I cut a window in that tube, turned it around and welded it back in. And it's not something to be proud of, but it didn't have a leak or anything. And the flow, if you look in there, is marginally affected. I don't think it's a big deal at all. But yeah, I haven't even cleaned it up. It's got all prickly bits and all sorts of stuff on it. But you know, that'll be fine. I could even smack it in a bit more, I guess. It is going to hit when we start the engine. Hear it go bang against there. It is only before when I put it on without the cover on, it was right down on that, so it was always going to run, if you know what I mean. Now it's just sort of a couple of mil. Not even 1/8 of an inch. It'd be about 2 millimeters that it's interfering. But I think that's going to be all right. So I'm going to pop this band back on. That's just a clamp that holds the lid of the clapper on, but it also serves the purpose of protecting the, you know, the innards of the starter motor with the exceptions of that bit there. So I'm going to just pop that on and we'll run a tap through these and mount those headers. Check out, this is why you need a cover on these when you go to clean threads out. It's right up against there. And I'm not even lubricating these. I'm just cleaning out some scaly rusty crap, just so that, you know, when I put the bolts in, they don't start galling and this sort of thing. I should really clean those flanges off too. Anyway. This is an engine I thought, oh, I'll get this going quickly as a sort of a little side project. I think I better lubricate that. Just a moment. The idea is most mechanics will have their own idea of when something's about to break. If they're all right, you know, most of the time they'll be on the same page, but every now and then we get it wrong. That seems a lot better. This is a dirty one. Some of them, most of them are pretty clean. It's just rust, I think, from not having anything in the threads for such a long time. I might be out of the woods a bit. I think it is hitting, but yeah, not even 2 mil, probably a millimetre. Not much, not enough for me to worry about. Ended up cutting a slot so I could get a nut under there, or a bolt under there, sorry. You can't get, I haven't got enough of those. They're the ones that came with it, only came with 12. And they're actually handy to have underneath so you can tighten them up. These ones you can sort of access, and I've got an odd number of those as well. So I've got, you know, Allen key type fasteners at the top and bolt type, hex bolt type fasteners at the bottom. Even these don't fit very well. You can see, you know, I wanted the nuts going the other way, but because of the radius there, they don't fit. So, look, it doesn't matter. It's just, you know, just a thing. So it's all done on one side. The other side's a lot easier because there's no starter motor and that sort of stuff, but I can't be bothered moving it at the moment. I'll do that bit later and move on to something else. There's still a bit all over the joint here because it's sort of low in here and high around it. The thing I'm worried about though, this was the one that stressed Graham, I think. He didn't finish this one. I kind of kept saying to him, just give it back to me and I'll do it. He was all sorts of busy with his business. I want to just get it in one colour so I can see that line. And sort of blocking up to it and then blocking down onto it. You know what I mean? It did look as though it was very sharp, so I don't think he'd finished it. The trouble with me is I don't know half as much as he does. But this is a pretty easy way for me to do it so I can really see what I'm doing. It feels good. And look, every time I do a car, I say the same thing. It's got to be like a good clean daily. It's not a show car. So I'm not, you know, one of these people that has to have everything perfect. I mean, if I had one car or 2 cars or something, I'd be like that. But I've got quite a few. And they're not matching number super duper cars, but they're my idea of cool cars, if you know what I mean. Is that low? That feels a bit low. It does feel good though. This had I don't know if this one or the other one had a great big dent. Right, now, just going to key up the top a bit. Like it's got a whole heap of high build on it. I'm going to have to fill that whole thing, I reckon, and just flatten it straight out. Because I don't think it's probably not that bad, but whenever you fill something small, you've always got to go well past its boundary. I just want to flatten this out because it's got a lot of undulations in it. Some of this, there's a big low there. There's one there. Can you see that? Where the sheen is, that's where I couldn't get it with a block. I don't have to feel that. And just run along. Most of that'll, you can block that out or use a bit of high build or something like that and it'll disguise a lot of it, but I will have to revisit that. That's going to show up as being quite a big dent. And it's just, yeah, it's not deep, but it's enough to throw light in the wrong direction. So I'm going to have to do that. I still want to get it in one colour so I can see exactly what's there, because I reckon I'm going to have to fill across the top around there and also right around where that badge went. And I need to have a look at this thing here too. But it's pretty bloody good. You should have seen it when Graham got it. Well, I think I've isolated where some of the finishing off needs to be done. Again, you know, it's not going to be a show car. We'll lay there. We're not going to get away with that. We'll lay there. We're not going to get away with that. There's another big low one right there. We're not going to get away with that. That's all there is on the side. I'm pretty sure that's perfect then. That one again we know about, so we're going to fill that as well. And there's only going to be not even a 1/16 of an inch of bog in it. We have got one thing I found. You can see actually kind of well from this side too, where the light hits it. We've got a bit of undulation there, which is no biggie, but just here there's a hollow, and you'll see it against the bonnet, and that's the only thing. There's another one up here, which we mentioned before in the other video, but that's under the screen moulding. I can put a bit of fill in there, it doesn't really matter. As far as the sort of swage line, the style line's concerned, I think that's pretty good, although I'm a bit dubious about these areas here. I might just run a tape just to make sure. As straight as an arrow here. It's called a camera somersault. As straight as an arrow here. I need to look at that. It fades out a bit there. And I'm just a little bit unsure about that spot there. The rest of it seems to be alright. So around the bare middle areas, there and there actually. I probably should have shown you me doing this. Anyway, look, I put more on. Probably me being a moron, because maybe I didn't need to do it this much. But at the end of the day, when we block that out, it should be straight as an arrow. And I've just got to say thanks very much to Graham for the massive head start, because I got to a point with this car, seriously, I couldn't do anything with it. I'd had enough. And every now and then they get like that. So, you know, if I've gone and murdered all his work, I do apologise, mate. But that means I've got myself in another pickle and I've got to get myself out this time. So, this is going to be a really, really nice guard. So I'm going to let that go off. I'll block it. I've left it there because I sort of filled off and then filled up. Then filled off, if you know what I mean. And that's why there's a big ridge there, but that comes off in about 2 seconds. That's probably a bit too much there, but by the time we go here to here with the block, going that way and then coming back this way, that's already gone off. Then that'll flatten out nicely. The main thing that I never wanted to touch was the panel beading side of it. This sort of stuff, if you muck it up, you can do it again. Muck it up, do it again. You can just keep doing it. But panel beading, if you mess it up, you can sort of buckle things. And I'm not a panel beater by any stretch. I wouldn't even try to be. Right, well, I'm starting on here. Well, I've been doing it. I've got this all pretty good. It probably doesn't look it. I'm not probably working to my best capacity because COVID positive. And it's my first time with COVID. And so far I feel flat and pretty gross, but I'm functioning at the moment. I thought I had a cold. Right, so this is high. The problem I'm having, or the thing I'm a bit worried about, is I start knocking that in. It's going to bring up other stuff around it, like a a pond. You throw a stone and you get this ripple effect. This feels fantastic. There's a little pock mark there. That feels beautiful. So I'm happy with that. And again, see there? Now, the other guards had all the work done to it. This is the one that was sort of halfway through being done. I'm really worried about that line. So we've got to sort of figure that out. That's all right. I can probably take a bit more of that off. And of course, where we had little pock marks in there, I got all that nice and flat too. There's another thing, and that is wonderful Andy Brooke gave me some new old stock nose cones. I'm going to swap hands. I need to keep holding onto the camera because I don't think I'll be able to get the tripod in the right spot. This has a big, I need to hammer that back because it's going to sit proud, and that looks terrible. And also it looks as though this could use some movement that way towards where I'm standing, because it's a little bit proud there and it's a bit recessed there. I think I could probably, hang on a minute, I can't see what I'm doing because I've got my hand covering the camera a bit. I think I can just elongate those filos out a little bit, just to move it over probably 1 millimetre, not even. And I reckon I'll get that looking all right. So it is what it is. I'm hoping when I come to do the other guard, I'm literally just scuffing it and painting it. And that means I can get these done really quickly. Now, while I've got that out, I'm also doing the air cleaner for the big block. And I've got these doors ready to go outside as well. That one I need to do some work on. That one, I reckon, is a scuff and paint job. I've just got to drill a hole for the... There's a few holes. There's one for the loom in there. Then there's some along the side intrusion bar for wiring to hang on to. That one's nowhere near. I've got to muck around with that one. I'm hoping you can see all right. So the guy at the exhaust place gave us this, just a bolt, hardened, and he said, that's your self-tapper. Because the thread's a bit mucky in there. Oopsie, can I start it? And he said, just go in and out with a rubber gun. If I can start the bloody thing. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, I'll block him in. And take it out. And he gave us all new bolts for the hangers. And I'm wrapped because he was really good, really honest, you know. Try and go into this one first. And this car's had like a factory dual exhaust system, so you know it. Everything's there. I'm sure standard Falcon does too. I just don't know why these hangers are $25 each and the rear ones aren't. I mean, that wasn't through this guy. He didn't have any back ones, but I'm just going to button that up now. Well, here we are underneath the XC. Time to stick some exhaust on. If I can get out of here. So this is a aftermarket one that we're fitting ourselves. So I'm hoping it fits okay. We're using some Byron 3 bond here. Thank you very much, Byron. Whoops. And so far we've lucked out. We haven't got any oil leaks or anything. Whoops. Oh God, did that go in? I can't see what I'm doing. Oh yeah. Doesn't need to be in there. So I've just got to hang this up. That'll do. Just a bit of goop on there just to help it seal up a bit. The flanges on this, we've got to use the old ones, which is a bit of a shame because I have to sacrifice an engine pipe, but it was an old engine pipe. I didn't sacrifice my good one for the engine stand. So this guy Let's see, it has to go up into the manifold. I'm just going to use my foot. It's going to be sort of in like that, I think. Hang on a minute. I'm holding it up with my knee. So you know I'm doing it by myself. I've got this muffler supported on a rubbish bin, and it's pink. I always use elastic on exhaust because it's good. It allows you to, well, this is naturally elastic, it's 3 bonds, so it's similar, but it just allows you to slip it on, and also tends to seal very well too. These are straight through redbacks, so I didn't really want a straight through exhaust, but these, it's the same place I think Jason Hill bought his, and I'm tipping it's going to sound pretty much the same as Jason Hill's, and I thought his fairlane sounded good. So, you know, I haven't got this engine pipe tightened up, so it just slides on, baby. Now, these clamps, I'm going to tighten these up, but I'll just stick it here for now. But I think it's the same as his system. It looks the same. I didn't notice the brand of his mufflers though. I'm going to put these on sideways. I don't like the look of them hanging down. Yeah, okay. Be around there somewhere, wouldn't it? And I've just got to tie it up to the back, and then I can sort of tighten all this. I just want to make sure it's even with the other one. The other one's not tightened up properly either. I'm starting to feel sick. I think the COVID's taking hold because I'm feeling a bit crummy. Well, that seems to be alright, doesn't it? The only disaster I've had is the handbrake cable. I've tried 2 of them. I spent ages cleaning them up and they're just not good enough. And this one's too long, it's a fairlane one. So I've ordered, have we gone out of focus? That's better. I've ordered a brand new one. So that'll get here in a few days, and once I put the handbrake cable on, the first one I did was too long here, in this section here. And I think it'll suit the ZK, because I think the ZK one's knackered. I'm not sure. You know, got to buy new ones, but I'm pretty pleased with that. It seems pretty good. I've just got to tighten it up. I'll leave the tailpipes off, because I haven't got the clamps at the back of them yet. Right, so I'm looking at these tailpipes. I'm going to have to do what I did with the XW. That bracket there for the rear brake line, I'm going to move it so the brake line's right up here. The diff breather, again, I can move that as well. But I could just put it, I'll put that on a spring, you know, the same with the other thing. So that's right, this side fits well. It's all looking pretty good. Like, I haven't tightened these up, they're just sort of sitting there. And it doesn't look too bad. I think ultimately it's going to be fine. They're just sort of sitting down. They'll come right up like that. I've just got to figure out the type of bracket they use in a minute. The type of hanger, because they're a lot dearer than what the XY and XWs are. And I'll put some nice GT tips on, some chrome ones, and I'll bring them out another 4 inches or so, or 3 inches or whatever it is. But that's going to be fine. I'm actually fairly happy with that. We'll get them sitting nice. Jason's got longer ones, maybe because he stipulated a fairlane, but they're too short without a tip. So no, they're going to be fine. The XY ones though, and XW ones, I don't know what they look like. They're a hell of a lot cheaper. Let's have a look into this one. Oh, they sit on the frame rail. Can I see in here? Okay. They're just bolted in up here. Yeah, they're a lot different. Anyway, that's enough for this one. I think I'm going to go have a shower and go to bed. I don't feel that flush. But until I get better, take good care of yourselves. Enjoy your classic and I'll see you soon.